Hello again. I'm Jim Raymond with the State Recovery Task Force, coming to you from the Colorado Emergency Operations Center. In Colorado, the State Recovery Task Force is a combination of state departments and agencies that band together after disasters to help move recovery actions as rapidly and effectively as possible. One of the most important recovery issues after any disaster is insurance. Insurance is the first and usually the best tool to help individuals and businesses recover sooner and more completely after a disaster. Of course, you need to understand your insurance needs and get coverage before a disaster so you can be prepared. But even so, many people have questions or need help with claims after a disaster. In particular, a lot of questions have come up around insurance needs in the unique circumstances of the COVID-19 environment. That's why I've invited Colorado's Insurance Commissioner, Mike Conway, to talk about the important role the Colorado Division of Insurance plays, not only after disasters, but in everyday life. Commissioner Conway, welcome, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me, Jim. I'm excited to be here to talk through both this emergency that we find ourselves in, the division kind of in general, and then what we think that we're going to be doing going forward to help Colorado get through this crisis.
Commissioner Conway and I are meeting remotely to practice social distancing, but we really hope that this video and this message will help the emergency management community statewide. To get started, Commissioner, can you tell us a little bit more about the Division of Insurance and what it does to help Coloradoans, not only in everyday life, but before and after an emergency like COVID-19?
Sure. So, Jim, our motto is consumer protection is our mission. It's a motto. It's kind of what we live by, but it's more than that, right? It's what we take to heart to mean that we're going to come to work every day to try and find ways to help Coloradans. Last year, we actually got Colorado back over $18 million from their insurance company. When you think that, when you kind of compare that to what our budget is, our budget's just about $11 million. We almost got 2-to-1 back for Colorado from what our budget is, and that's just in the money that we returned to Colorado. So we do everything from licensing insurance companies and insurance agents all the way to taking complaints from consumers about the policies that they have. And then we also try and make sure that the insurance companies themselves have the money that they're going to need to pay claims when claims are due. So when we find ourselves in the midst of a disaster, whether it's a fire or a flood or anything of those ilk, we can step in and make sure that the insurance companies can do what they're supposed to do.
So what exactly role do we have in COVID-19 in terms of insurance? What important issues are there as Colorado begins to reopen and we begin to relax some of these social distancing rules? How will insurance play a role?
So I think it's important to talk through kind of this in two different stages, Jim. There's this initial stage that we find ourselves in. And this obviously is an emergency that is directly related to health. So one of the first steps that we took is we required the insurance companies to make sure that they were covering tests and the treatment for COVID-19 without making people pay for their deductibles or their co-insurance or co-payments. So if people get sick, they didn't have to worry about not going to the hospital if they were sick. They could go to the hospital and not have to worry about the deductible of $5,000 or $7,000 that sometimes keeps people from actually going and getting care. We wanted to make sure that we took that barrier away so that Coloradans could go out and get the care that they needed. We also worked with Connect for Health Colorado, our state-based exchange, to establish what's called the special enrollment period. And in the healthcare markets, Jim, there's essentially, you have a period of time every year where you can go and you can buy health insurance. And typically it's from November through December 15th. And throughout the country, in Colorado, we actually extend that to February 15th on a regular basis every year. But we wanted to make sure that in the midst of this crisis, people that didn't have insurance would have the ability to go out and buy insurance to make sure that they could actually get care if they got sick. And then there's also the component that we want to make sure that when people unfortunately may lose their jobs, they have the ability to go and get health insurance through the exchange as well. So those are the types of things that we're working on the health insurance side. On the property and casualty side, so think your car insurance, your homeowner's insurance. We've asked the insurance companies to work with each and every one of their policyholders that come through and tell them that they need a little bit of help paying their premiums, or perhaps they're not even going to be able to pay their premiums. We've asked the insurance companies during the pendency of this crisis not to cancel any insurance policy along the lines of homeowners insurance policy, property and casualty policy.
So going beyond the COVID-19 pandemic, certainly Colorado is prone to other disasters. And as those happen, people continue to have insurance needs. What's the importance of insurance in those disasters? And I'm thinking specifically of wildland fire and flooding. So what's the role of the division insurance in these disasters, and what should people know as we continue to prepare for those disasters?
So I think that, those disasters are unfortunately going to be impacted in strange and interesting ways by this particular crisis that we find ourselves in too, Jim. So think about it from the fire standpoint. We know that every year, unfortunately, in Colorado, we very well could have some pretty disastrous fires. And a big component of that is we have to get people out of the way of those fires. We have to evacuate sometimes huge groups of people. And typically we would have housed those groups of people in shelters. But something that I'm starting to think about is the fact that we aren't going to be able to put those people in shelters. So we're going to have to, it's important for us to start working with our insurance companies now, with recognizing things like that, kind of having some foresight to get pieces put in place so that when we do find ourselves in a situation where we have to evacuate a large group of people, that we have tools in place for people to be able to use. And that might be that they, through their homeowner's policy or a renter's policy, they can go and they can use that policy to rent out a hotel room. It's different things along those lines, Jim, that we're starting to think through now, knowing that we're going to have those exact types of disasters that you're talking about, and trying to think through what COVID means, what those disasters mean in a COVID world. Typically, in a normal fire season, we would be out there working. If we had a big fire and that unfortunately burned through a big group of homes, we'd be out there talking with those homeowners about their homeowners insurance policies, about what types of coverage they have. We'd be working with the insurance companies to get resources into those communities to make sure that people had resources, had the ability to talk to insurance agents directly. So that's typically what we would be doing in those types of disasters. But this world is going to be different. But the flood insurance question that you asked, one of the things we really try hard to stress is that after every fire that we have, it's usually a 3 to 5 year lag where there's a 3 to 5 year period, I should say, that you can have disastrous flooding in the exact same area where the fire was. As you know, the burn scars are prone to flash flooding. So we try and do everything that we can to educate people that even though you don't think that you're in an area that typically floods, every house can flood. If you live someplace where it rains, your house can flood. So we really try and stress the importance of flood insurance, especially because there's a period of time, there's a waiting period with flood insurance. So it's not like other types of insurance where you can buy it and on day one you have coverage. And with flood insurance, there's typically a 30-day waiting period, 30 to 60-day waiting period. So we really try and stress to folks related to fires in particular, but this is just a general message that we try and get out there, how important it is for people to have flood insurance.
Where can people find out more specifically about flood insurance for their home?
The best place to start with is at the NFIP, but they can also talk to their insurance agents too. Their insurance agents that can help them find the right type of coverage and the different resources that they can learn about flood insurance.
So they don't have to go to FEMA for flood insurance. They can actually get the insurance policy on flood from their, usually from their home insurer.
Right now, so you can get it from your home insurer, but it's typically, you're going to end up ending up in the FEMA worlds, even if you do get it from your homeowner's insurance. There's different movements to try and open up the flood insurance markets, and I think that could be something that happens in the future. Right now, though, we're all dealing with COVID, and I think that's going to be our world, unfortunately, for the foreseeable future.
Well, I know that insurance has always been a really good partner after a disaster, and we've opened up disaster assistance centers for individuals to come and get some more information. And Division of Insurance has always been available to talk with homeowners, like you mentioned. It will be interesting moving forward to see how we're going to be able to communicate some of these recovery information items to folks that have experienced these other kinds of disasters. There's certainly a lot more information we could cover, but I really want to get to where people can get some more information about the Division of Insurance, and what words might you have to folks to be better prepared for insurance needs?
So you can always give us a phone call, Jim. You can call us at our phone number is 303-894-7490. If you want to go onto the Google machine and just Google Colorado Division of Insurance, will pop up, but our website is dora.colorado.gov/insurance. And we've got a whole bunch of information up there. We have a web page dedicated directly to COVID-19 and the different steps and the different information for folks, so that they can kind of have a one spot landing page for everything that we've done. But I think right now we're going to find ourselves in this emerging world, and it is going, as we recover, it's going to be an emerging world that we can't find ourselves in. And I think it's going to be really important for us on the policy side to try and help frame out what the right answers are going to be for things like healthcare and health insurance moving forward, what the different impacts have been from the property and casualty side with things like business interruption insurance and other issues that are directly impacted by COVID-19. But then I think what is as equally important, Jim, is that we make sure that we're keeping our eye on the future, and we're seeing what's coming down the pike, so that we can take steps to make sure that we're protecting Coloradans in every way that we possibly can in the world that we find ourselves in with COVID-19. So that's what we're working on, but we are here as a resource for both the different emergency operations centers that are set up throughout the state. We're here for you as a resource, and we're obviously here for Coloradans for everything that they need related to insurance.
Well, Commissioner, I really want to thank you for your time today. Really appreciate it. And I also want to thank all the staff at the Division of Insurance for their hard work they're doing for Coloradoans everywhere.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you very much.
Well, I also want to acknowledge and thank the emergency managers, the healthcare professionals, the first responders, and the essential workers that are keeping Colorado going. For more information, please visit the DHSEM webpage at colorado.gov/Mars. Please look for additional video messages on recovery issues in the future. Thank you, and be safe and be well.